Hey, it's Dr. Susan, and I wanted to talk to you about one of my favorite myths about hormone pellets because I hear this so many times and it's really confusing. It's regarding whether or not hormone pellets are FDA approved and whether that matters. So let's talk about that and pull it apart a little bit. So first of all, just as a reminder, if you were considering hormone pellets, they are either bioidentical estradiol, which is the hormone that we produce from our ovaries until we go through menopause, and or bioidentical testosterone, which is another really important hormone that we produce from our ovaries, and it declines kind of slowly over the years, starting at about 25 or 30. Now, estrogen drops off pretty dramatically at menopause, but testosterone just has a slow decline. But needless to say, once we're about my age at 54, my estradiol and testosterone levels would both be zero if I weren't replacing them with hormone pellets. So I personally have chosen hormone pellets as my own way to restore my hormones, and I feel fantastic. But one of the things that patients are worried about are the fact that hormone pellets are not FDA approved. Well, let's talk about that. Estradiol is FDA approved, and testosterone is FDA approved, but the pellet delivery method is not FDA approved, and there's lots of reasons for that. And what I can tell you is they really don't matter. What is important is some type of regulation. Now, the FDA is a regulatory agency. It's a government agency. It's really great that we have the FDA, but that's not the only regulatory agency in the world. So just because something's not FDA approved doesn't mean it's bad, and it doesn't mean it's not regulated. So the pellets that I use are actually using the BioT system. Now, BioT is just one of the systems that's out there, but let's talk about how that works. BioT doesn't actually make the hormones. BioT makes the system of delivery, and it's a really great system. They contract with a very, very good compounding pharmacy who makes the hormones. So compounding pharmacy makes the hormones, and there's a regulatory board that regulates what those hormones are. So it's very tightly regulated, just not through the FDA. Now, this particular compounding pharmacy actually has a higher stringency for regulation than the FDA. The FDA requires that drugs are no more than 5% different, one batch to another. If there's more than 5% difference, you might hear a drug is recalled. And so, that's the regulation that's really important to make sure that whatever we're taking is exactly what we think we're taking. Now, the pharmacy that makes our compounded hormones for our pellets actually has a 3% margin of error that they will allow. So very stringent regulation. So just because something's not FDA approved does not mean that it's not regulated. And in fact, with BioT pellets, which are what I have in my body, I can be absolutely sure that I'm getting the same thing each time, plus or minus 3%, which is a very, very tight margin of error. So regulation is really important. Now, why did the FDA not approve a pellet therapy? Well, there's lots of reasons. Some of them are related to politics. So let's face it, the FDA is a government agency. Government agencies are very highly connected with big pharmaceutical companies. Now, big pharmaceutical companies can't make money from bioidentical hormone pellets because these are things that occur in nature, so you can't patent them, you can't make bajillions of dollars from them, so they're not very interested in you taking pellets. They'd much rather that you take prescription drugs that are, the traditional FDA-approved variations. Now, some of those are very good, like an estradiol patch, for example, but we don't have an FDA-approved testosterone for women. So we have to think about taking care of ourselves by using pellet therapy, and it is very, very safe. Now, another reason why pellet therapy is not FDA approved is that each single dose would have to be individually approved. So, for example, if you think about a different drug that you might take, there'd be a 5 milligram dose, a 10 milligram dose, maybe a 20 milligram dose, and each one of those would have to have individual FDA approval. But with pellet therapy, there are hundreds of possible doses. They're like little Lego blocks, and we add them together to come up with the perfect dose for each patient. It changes over time because it's weight-based. It changes over time because we don't give the same dose every time, otherwise your levels would raise. So there's hundreds of different possible doses, and each one would have to be individually FDA approved. Some people might get 100 milligrams, 112.5, 137.5. all kinds of different doses. So it's not likely anytime soon that pellet therapy will be FDA approved, partly because big pharmaceutical companies don't want it to happen, and partly because the process has just been made impossible by the FDA. But it really doesn't matter, so long as you have a really good compounding pharmacy that has the same or even better stringency as far as regulation. So the idea that things have to be FDA approved and that FDA approved things are good and non-FDA approved things are not good is really a bit of a myth that we have to challenge. I mean, think of all of the things that you probably take that are not FDA approved, like vitamins, supplements, diet pills, all kinds of things. You know, we do this all the time, right? We're taking lots of things that are not FDA approved. Also, a lot of drugs are prescribed for things that are not FDA approved uses. That's done all the time, and we don't question that. So this push to tell women that hormone pellets are not FDA approved and that somehow that makes it wrong has pharmaceutical company backing behind it. So just be careful, be clever, understand where these things are coming from. Hormone pellets are safe. They are regulated with even higher stringency than the FDA would require. And there's so many nasty, awful chemicals out there that are FDA approved that will kill you. For example, Premarin, which is pregnant mare's urine derived estrogen, is an FDA-approved oral by-mouth estrogen that has been shown to increase the risk of blood clot, heart disease, and stroke. Now that's FDA-approved. I would not give it to anybody. So just keep in mind a lot of things that are FDA-approved that are not as safe as things that are not. So it's important to understand what those things mean. And now I hope you have a better understanding of why hormone pellets are not FDA approved, but that the ingredients, estradiol and testosterone, are FDA approved. And if you're using a system like the one that I use through BioT, very stringent regulation. So you can feel really comfortable that you're getting exactly what we're telling you that you're getting and that it's safe. If you have a question for me that you'd like to ask on the Dr. Susan Live show, you can submit a question to drsusan.com, drsusan.com/ask, and we will submit your question to our team to review. If it is a question that's going to be one that we can use on the show, we'll reach out to you, and then you can ask me that question live. So I hope that is helpful, and we will keep busting myths here on Dr. Susan and Empowering Midlife Wellness. I'll talk to you soon.